Hello. So I had some spare time, just woke up, so I thought I would make a quick rant about a subject that I made a different video on that was a lot more ranty and angry and personal because I was pissed off at the time, but I decided not to post it because I thought it was too drama-laden and I couldn't be bothered with the drama, so I'll just make a quick comment on it here. The thing I want to talk about today is accusing other people of dishonesty or being liars. Because when I get in arguments with people, I've been accused on Twitter and YouTube and various places of being dishonest and being a liar. Now, I always ask them, how am I being dishonest? How am I being a liar? Etc. Generally, the answer that I get back is, oh, you use tactics such as pretending not to understand other people's arguments, and you mischaracterize what people say, and it's that whole SJW tactic thing that you use. And I try to get a clearer understanding of what they're saying. Generally, I mean, the impression that I get is if you disagree with people, if you do so in a sarcastic way, a mocking way, that eventually they'll just get annoyed because you're not agreeing with them and because you're joking around, so they'll just start calling you things such as dishonest or liar, and they see that as a valid debate tactic, just impugn your character. And I tend to find that when people do that, they tend to project a lot onto me. So they'll say, oh, Tim, you always do X, you always do Y, you always do Z, without seeing that them saying you always do this is something they always do, because that person, the specific person I'm thinking of, did that like 5 or 6 times. Tim, you always do this. Tim, you always do that. Whereas I have to think, you always say, Tim, you always do X, so you always do this. What's your point? People have different tactics in debates and stuff, and I can't say for sure whether that person is a liar or dishonest. I just know they've got a very skeezy way of debating where they tend to just call me dishonest. Which, I mean, you're allowed to do, but I'm allowed to push back on, aren't I? Now, on this accusation that I've faced of not understanding people's arguments, I honestly often say, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? What are you saying? What the fuck are you on about? Because people's arguments don't make a lot of sense, and I've thought about this a lot. And the reason that a lot of the arguments don't make sense to me is because I have different values and I inhabit a different worldview than you do. Now, I know some people will characterize that as, oh yes, you live in your beautiful little snowflake palace, I live in reality. But I think a lot of the time, what you see as reality, I see just as a lack of interpreting things. Like, for example, if you've got black crime statistics, you can just say, look at the black crime, and just leave it there. And it's like, okay, yeah, well, can I do a little bit of analysis on that? No, you can't. Can I look at the context? Nope. Okay. Well, I mean, I want to look at some of the context. Oh, you don't live in reality anymore. Now you don't live in reality. And it's like, well, So if I look at the details and the nuance of things, I'm no longer in reality. I see. And just quickly on the values point, I think a lot of anti-SJWs and anti-feminists and MRAs, whatever, whomever on the internet that I often get in arguments with, they often take their worldview as established and normal and like the status quo. So when they collide with someone who has different values, such as myself, it instantly gets confused because they're like, why don't you just agree with me? Why don't we have the same point of view? This doesn't make sense. For example, they always go on about like trigger warnings and safe spaces and social justice warriors and Anita Sarkeesian and whatever. And they don't seem to realize that a lot of people's everyday is not mired and all of that shit. A lot of that's just internet culture, people going on and on and on about the same old bullcrap. So if you go up to someone and you go like, ooh, you just want your safe space, they're liable to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean? And when they come to me and they go on about trigger warnings and shit, you see, I know that the trigger warning they're talking about is not the serious version. It's not the version where you've been sexually abused as a child, or you're a rape victim, or something horrific has happened to you. To them, it's just like a stupid buzzword. So then I use it back to them like a stupid buzzword, because that's how it's used online. And then they might say, well, you're not taking this seriously, you're just taking this flippantly. And I can only say to that, yeah, because this is the same stupid fucking online shit that always goes on. We're not having a productive, interesting conversation about what trigger warnings and safe spaces are. We're just talking again and again about how, oh, everyone wants a safe space, everything's a trigger warning, and everything's just funny and stupid. Because that's the way it's become. Everything's dumbed down so much. We couldn't possibly have a serious conversation about these topics. So it's just a fucking joke. And that's the way I feel about it. So that's sometimes the way that I treat it. And it's not dishonest. It's generally just thinking that the online dialogue is trash. People are not having deep conversations about how do you deal with somebody who needs help because they were sexually abused. Like, we're not having that conversation. The conversation that's being had is, oh, look at these special snowflakes. Oh, they just can't handle a different opinion. They need protection in a safe space. You know, it's not interesting and it's not compelling. But that's the stupid conversation that we have to have over and over again because the internet destroys everything and it was supposed to be for good, but it's been used for evil. And Al Gore should be ashamed for inventing this fucking internet. Anyways, I digress. People will say you can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. Whereas generally I think we don't have different facts, we just have different interpretations of the facts. And people have been interpreting things since time immemorial, and it's not just because you interpret something, it doesn't make it wrong, it doesn't make it bad. So we have a different opinion. Oh my god, that is really traumatizing. And I'm very sorry for that. I mean, I will work harder to have the same opinion as the people who I disagree with. I'll try to see things exactly the same way you do. And that will make me honest. That will make me a good debate partner, because I'll just agree with you all the time. And then you won't get triggered. So that's the thing, we have different values. I might see something and say, fuck, that's awful, that's terrible. And you might see something and say, that's in context, it's not that terrible. And then I'll be like, dude, I think that really is terrible. And you'll say, no, I don't think that's such a bad thing. God, you're so sensitive, Tim. You always overreact. And say your dumb shit about SJW or whatever. It's like, that seems to be the whole fucking game. That's just all of it. And then if we disagree enough, you'll just be like, ew, you're a liar, you're dishonest or something, and just pull that cheesy tactic. So, I mean, that's the game. It reminds me when I do a tweet saying, like, Donald Trump is shit because of whatever, and then someone's like, you're so partisan, Tim. Oh, you're such a partisan. And a while back I had a tweet that was like, fuck, Hillary Clinton sucks because, and that person is like, wow, great tweet, Tim, very non-partisan. Do you know how partisanship works? Partisan doesn't mean attacks Donald Trump, and non-partisan doesn't mean attacks Hillary Clinton, because that just makes you a Trump partisan, can't you see? Non-partisan would be looking at the issues fairly and saying Donald Trump has a lot of shit stuff about him, Hillary Clinton has a lot of shit stuff about her. They're not equal because I'm not like a moral relativist. So, in my estimation, my dishonest evil opinion, I think Donald Trump is worse than Hillary Clinton. But being nonpartisan is being willing to criticize fairly and as objectively as you can both people. It's not praise Trump, bash Hillary, wow, nonpartisan. No, because that makes you a Trump partisan. So I can only conclude that this stems from two things. One is just like having a different worldview. Some people can't handle it, so they go to name-calling. They're like, you're a dishonest liar partisan. My opinion is that you can't handle disagreement. And number two, that I like to be sarcastic. And when someone calls me dishonest or well-poisons or acts like a fucking douchebag, I start making fun of them because I can't help it. I'm like, this person's not fucking listening to me. They don't care about anything I think. This conversation is stupid. They're just calling me names and pretending like that's an argument. Like, you're dishonest. And that's their argument. Fuck you. I'm going to start insulting you because you're a dickhead. So fuck you. I mean, it's as simple as that. Just debate the shit on the merits. Don't come gallivanting into the thing calling me names. It's as simple as that. Unless you can actually point out how I'm dishonest instead of just saying, generally, I get that vibe, or because I've made parody videos, or I've been sarcastic, and I can very easily tell you which videos are sarcastic, and the people who actually follow me and get my humor, they know what videos of mine are sarcastic, because it's fucking obvious if you just understand, like, my worldview, and I can tell you about it. If based on those things you want to call me dishonest, I will call you a shithead, and we'll just fight, so fuck off. That was a nice ending to that video. Wasn't it, Balthie? Kitty poo.